Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Ann Myrna, and she is the producer of Trepidity. Hey, Ann, how you doing today?
I'm good. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too. I'm so glad that we can make this happen. So the first question I got for you, how did you get involved with filmmaking?
Well, I'm one of those people who returned to acting later in life.
Mhm.
So I was in plays in high school and then worked in information technology for, let's just say, 40 plus years,
Right.
and decided I wanted more creativity back in my life. So started off doing background acting on various films or various TV shows that are filmed in the Chicago area. And that kind of taught me all the terminology that happens on set. And then to try to build my resume, I started working with people to work in independent films. So I've acted in several and met Steve Herman, who is the filmmaker behind Trippidity, about a year ago. He was working on another project, which I decided to support, and just kept in touch with him and asked him if he could use any help putting other projects together. And he asked me if I wanted to be a producer, and I agreed.
Awesome. That's great. So, for those unaware, what is Trepidity all about?
Trepidity is a horror film in the 80s slasher style.
Okay.
That is about a group of girls that decide to do some partying in an abandoned barn and start talking about some stories about Satan being invoked, and go ahead and go through a ritual, and it's all downhill from there. Lots of blood.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm excited to see this, especially when I had, Magdalena on and had some others on to promote it. And I'm really excited to see this. It's a very unique story. Not much of something like this is usually out there. Most of it's slashers or fan films. So something unique like this is it's kind of exciting. So I really look forward to seeing what this brings to the table.
Yeah, and it's intentionally set in the mid 80s
Okay.
so that the viewer is not wondering, why doesn't somebody just get a cell phone out and call for help?
Right.
There were no cell phones back then. And there's
Yeah.
a little, the beginning of the film kind of does look back 10 years prior to when the initial encounter with Satan happened in that same barn.
Awesome, awesome. So as a producer of the film, what are your duties and obligations to make this film come to life?
Well, my role has been mostly what they would refer to as a line producer. So I put together the budget for the film, um, did some research on different props and things that we would need that kind of contributed to the budget, the production schedule, and the big one, which is the fundraising.
Okay, awesome, awesome. I know definitely the fundraising is an important part of any film, especially indie film, because with indie films, as a lot of people either know or don't know, is that indie films are smaller budgets and they don't have the money as big box Hollywood productions do. So the fundraising is a really important aspect of getting a movie made. And how do you do that with it? You just use crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a big part of it, which Indiegogo, I'm pretty sure Trepidity has an Indiegogo currently live, right?
Yes, we're in the in-demand phase on Indiegogo, which means it's just staying open because we met our initial goal. So yeah, if you go to Indiegogo.com and just search for Trepidity, Trepidity, you will find our campaign.
Awesome, awesome. That's great. So what do you foresee being the hardest part of getting this movie? Well, the movie's already made, but like, what was the hardest part of getting this movie made? Like, did you have any obstacles or bumps in the road?
We had to work with cast availability.
Mhm.
Steve Herman has a lot of cast that he has worked with previously and wanted to include a lot of those actors. So we just had to work with their availability schedules. When we filmed, it was cold and we were filming in a barn at night to get the authenticity of the evening light. And I was okay because I was off camera. I had my really heavy duty winter coat on because we were in central Illinois. But the actors and actresses were a little chilly, especially once they got a little of that fake blood on them.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, that's gruesome. And I mean, That's the good thing about, like, obviously when you're doing night scenes, you have to do it at night. You don't have to, but it makes it more authentic, as you mentioned. Was there any issues with lighting it up properly with the lighting, with any of the lights or anything?
No, I mean, our camera guy had lights and, so we have a very, minimal set of technology that we, we bring when we film. So we're just working with a one camera setup, and a few lights, and just had to kind of, orient the actors in the space to get the shots that we wanted. But, you come in with a prepared shot list and organized, and we had somebody manufacturing blood on set so that we could have it all nice and fresh for the filming.
Nice. Absolutely. So, obviously the film is in post-production. Is there an anticipated release date or even release year? And where would viewers be able to see this movie when it's out?
Well, we are at the very, very tail end of post-production, and we're actually having a private premiere for cast and crew this coming Sunday in Chicago at a movie theater, which would be pretty cool to see it on the big screen. And then we're going to enter it in some film festivals. And so we will look at trying to set up some distribution for the film so that it would be available on streaming platforms. So that's still to be determined.
Nice, nice. So you're a horror fan, I'm assuming?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. So what horror movie got you into the genre?
Oh, geez. In the 80s, not to date myself, but when I graduated from college, I had transplanted from the Midwest down to Dallas, Texas. And the company I was working for had a bunch of college hires who had transplanted from the Midwest. So we'd get together and hang out on the weekends and, watch movies and stuff. And one guy was a fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original.
Nice.
And so I would say that really kind of solidified my love of horror. I mean, when I was in high school, the Count Yorga vampire movies were popular. And so my cousins and I would, traipse to the movie theater to see those vampire movies. So I've had, dabs of horror film throughout my life, but TCM is one of my favorites.
Awesome. Yeah, I had Terry McMahon, who played Pam in the original, on my show yesterday, I believe it was.
Oh, awesome.
Yep. Yeah, yesterday I had her on. Yep, she was really nice, and she talked a lot about the upward shot, and she gave, like, where she's walking, it's like a shot from her from behind walking. And then she talked about her death scene, and she also talked about how she was actually arch rivals with Gunnar Hansen a year before they were casting the movie. And I think it was Toby Hooper or one of the producers wanted her to meet the actor that was portrayed to play Leatherface, and when she saw him from behind, he was really tall, curly brown hair. When he turned around, they both said at the same time, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, it's funny because I mean, you would think there's like so many people who are involved in filmmaking, but it gets to be a small world. You do like even in my small circle. I mean, I've run into the same people over and over again, which is just kind of shows you the power of networking, because then there are people that they know that they introduce you to, and your circle expands from there.
Absolutely. She said that for like when she first filmed it, she wasn't very happy with it. She thought she didn't do that good, and she thought she said for 35 years she always beat herself up over her performance in it. And then she, out comes streaming, and all this stuff, and she eventually watches it again for the first time with one of her friends or whatever, and she watched it and she's like, I actually didn't do that bad.
Yeah. I'm glad her opinion turned around, because I mean, it is hard. It's hard to watch yourself, and you're always super critical, and there are different ways to do it, and whether you're on the production side of the house or
You there? You there?
Your critical self-evaluation. So as long as the public likes it, then it's a success.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. So the last question I do got for you, do you have any other projects, social media accounts, websites, anything else at all that you would like to promote to the listening and viewing audience?
Oh, sure. Well, the website for Trippidity is the Acrostar Films website. So Acrostar, ACROSTAR films.com. I actually had a hand in creating that website because that's what I do most of the time during the day, is create websites. And then we mentioned the Indiegogo campaign for it. we don't have it on the AcroStar website yet, but
Okay.
we also have a Facebook group, a public
Okay.
Facebook group, and I just renamed it. Let me
Okay.
get the name of that. It's called Indie Horror Films from AcroStar Films.
Okay.
And on that Facebook group, we cover not only what's going on with Trepidity, but other AcroStar projects as well. So one that is in pre-production now is a throwback to the 1950s B-movie creature features.
Okay.
And it's called It Came From Somewhere.
Nice.
And we're looking to film that starting in September. It's
Okay.
going to be black and white, kind of Roger Corman, Ed Wood style to it, as if it were filmed in the 50s. So we're not looking for technical perfection on that one. We're actually looking to plant some technical imperfection so that it is like those movies from that era. But
Nice.
yeah, we've got a creature, and I'm actually cast in that one, so it'll be fun to see if the creature comes after me or not.
Oh, that's awesome. That's exciting. I can't wait to see that as well. I mean, a good tribute to the, classic 50 creature features. You can't go wrong with that.
It'll be
Not
fun.
at all. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I thank you so much, Ann, for joining me today.
Oh, sure thing. Happy
Yep.
to be here. Thanks
Thank you.
again.
You have a great rest of your day.
All right, you
All
too,
right.
Scotty.
Bye.
Bye.